I think that this is going to be the most important video that I've made yet. And I know that sounds like a sensational, empty promise of some snake oil salesman or some sad YouTuber trick to get you to stay around, but hang out and I think we'll figure this out together. Party-based procedural storytelling RPG with tactical combat. That is directly from the description of Wildermyth's Steam page, and I don't think I've ever heard developers undersell their premise so thoroughly in my 35 years of gaming. The description also draws your attention to the wrong parts, at least it did for me. I saw party-based and tactical combat, which made me think, cool, I might like this game. Over the coming days, I came to learn just what an understatement that was. If you're familiar with tactics-based RPGs or strategy RPGs, such as in my case Fire Emblem, you're probably going to start Wildermyth and then light a cigarette or grab a drink and kick back expecting to be told a lengthy tale before you even get to attack an enemy. While it will be a minute or two before you get to stab a monster, the game asks for your input almost immediately. A character is seen arriving at a location looking for their friend, their rival, their lover. You have to make your first choice here, and I can tell you, while it seems as inconsequential as when you first get asked about your relationship with Tifa in the original Final Fantasy VII, I can assure you that it can pack just as much of an emotional punch. After the first choice, you'll then use characters 1 and 2 to look for a third party member in your initial party. This is where I feel the game really starts to show its tabletop roots. I've DM'd many a campaign, and 2 party members going to meet a third. It's almost a trope unto itself by now, and this is where I felt that warm cloak of familiarity start to rest on my shoulders. Upon arriving, you fight a few basic enemies. You learn the basics of grid-based combat and be introduced to things veterans of the genre might already know. The most basic are things like gaining defensive bonuses for standing next to your allies, or offensive bonuses for flanking enemies. You know, video game shit. There's also armor that absorbs some damage, as well as terrain your party can take cover behind from ranged attacks. Every addition to the combat system beyond that will be added by choices that you make into which abilities to give your characters upon leveling up. These abilities vary pretty substantially and can have a warrior become a raging berserker that runs about the battlefield swinging wildly from foe to foe, or an immovable bulwark that can shrug off massive hits with hardly a flinch. As such, the 3 classes, Warrior, Mystic, and Hunter, can be very misleading as build diversity is limited mostly by the player's imagination, so think of them more as career starting points than classes in a traditional sense. This depth is why I said earlier that this may be my most important video to date. You can't really get a good feel for this game within the refund window on Steam. As such, you need to find a reviewer that you can trust. That said, I'm very happy that you're here with me. Now that we're friends, hey, maybe like this video to help spread the word, maybe subscribe because I am far from done with this game. Okay, sales pitch over. I might make Fire Emblem references off and on through this video, but I feel it's important to know the differences. Imagine you have 2 dials in front of you. One of them is labeled Whimsy, and the other is labeled Horny. Fire Emblem is self-aware. It has the Whimsy dial set to 4. It makes jokes about anime tropes like kids fighting evil and will acknowledge how it's weird that these kids are the ones that are facing down emperors. However, Fire Emblem's got that horny dial cranked all the way up to 8. You've got waifus, fairy girls, tomboys, the buff square-jawed Adonises, as well as twinks. I heard one reviewer talk about Fire Emblem by saying, "What if chess made you horny?" It's pretty apt. Wildermyth here is for the most part the exact opposite. It still has the horny set to 3. You can start a family, have children, and it allows for same-sex attraction, which I'd hope would be standard by now. However, the Whimsy dial is cranked all the way up to 11. This has at first led me to worry that the amazing storytelling opportunity was going to be ruined by becoming a parody of itself, but oh my no. The silly party antics can turn tragic at a character death or maiming so quickly that it really twists the proverbial knife in your guts. Now the tactics and combat, they're good, but honestly they aren't what makes this game amazing. The reason Wildermyth is sitting at overwhelmingly positive on Steam as of this recording is certainly the story. And when I say story, I mean the game's ability to generate stories on the fly. Don't fully understand exactly how it works, and I'm actually really curious as to how many playthroughs of a single campaign you would need to start really noticing duplication. I'm actually kind of happy in my ignorance, not wanting to know exactly how the game generates events. It's more of enjoying a magic show and less flat earther levels of ignorance, I feel. What I do know is the stories I've had pop up on my way to main quest locations have been amazing and feel incredibly organic. They generally don't involve the whole gang, so you're left wondering if you should start the quest battle or wait for that pair of side questers to return. This feels so authentic to the pen and paper experience, it's unreal. So far, I'm done with Chapter 3 of the first campaign, and one thing I wanted to bring up before we wrap things up here is the downtime between chapters. It feels really fluid, like the things that characters do and what they reflect upon makes sense when weighed against the trials that most recently came up. Replaying this campaign is high on my priority list so I can see how big the intermissions can vary. Good combat, quirky dialogue, and amazing storytelling. Well worth the purchase price and deserving of the overwhelmingly positive rating it has on Steam, absolutely. I've been Septimus with the Grim Alliance, and you have been an amazing audience. I thank you so much.